May I tell you the story of the best welder I think I've ever seen? I signed up for this outage. An outage is when a boiler is out of commission. A giant coal-fired or garbage-fired boiler, which is basically a giant radiator that produces power. When these things need to be repaired, they get shut down. And every day that these things are shut down, they are losing, what? Hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. So they need to get repaired as soon as possible so that they can get back up and running and produce the power that they had been before. Enter the outage welders, and some of them were way up high, cutting sections out and craning them down below to be repaired to people in tents, like me. Me and I think 4 of my friends rolled up and we just started repairing tubes. We did 12-hour shifts from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I remember wanting to off myself. It was so terrible. It was so hard. But it made a lot of money. I remember sitting on creepers that were in standing water. It was raining. They had tents over us and the wind was blowing and they tried to put the sides on the tents, but I mean, we had to crank our shielding gas up. The water was coming in up underneath the tents. I was arcing out on my butt. I just remember feeling this is very dangerous, and I was on my creeper underneath the panel while my partner was on top. Living on caffeine, mud and refract falling down on your face under your hood, and it was just shit and corruption, as my dad used to say. Then the sun came up and you went to your hotel room and you ate as much as you could and slept as much as you could so you could do it again that night. We did 3-day stints of that, I think. And my one friend who had hooked us up with this job had told me about this guy who was just a fantastic welder. And of course, you can't be in this industry without hearing that all the time about what a phenomenal welder this guy was. Or like, this guy took the freaking cake. And I only saw him for a few hours in my life, but he lived up to everything my friend had said about him. Because you see, where we were doing partner welding, one guy under a creeper, one guy on top, and you feed wire to your partner. I would start at 6 o'clock, try to get up to 9, and he'd feed wire to me through the slit. And then when he picked up, I'd feed him wire until he could pick it up and go to 12 o'clock. Continue with stick welding, doing the same thing. This freaking guy, I don't know where he had been for the entire weekend, but I got to watch him weld for like 3 or 4 hours this one morning. He would sit under a panel, solo, taking his stick rods, putting a bend in them, feeding the stick rod, welding these things solo, smoking under his hood at the same time. And that's all this guy would do. He would yell for a rod and he would bend one up and he would turn around and he would do the other side, you know, and he would smoke on occasion. I watched it. I watched a guy do a 2-person job with 1 person while smoking with the other hand. Just unreal.